Hello everybody, welcome back to another chart mastery session. Last stream I was told my audio was not as loud as you guys would like it. I adjusted some settings. Let me know if it's too loud or if it's too crunchy. Sometimes when you push the settings too high, it gets messed up. Anyway, we've got a lot of developments in the market today. Starting off, Biden just spoke, didn't quite do much for the market, and next up we have Powell speaking today at 2 p.m. And I think what Powell is going to say is pretty much priced in terms of rate hikes, right? How much they're gonna hike, whether it's 75 or 0.75 or half, that's uncertain. But one thing I'm looking at, I think my outlook still has not changed. Looking at things like Microsoft, where we're at this weekly pivot, right? Almost like monthly pivots, and we're slightly below it, where I'd like to be. We're slightly below 280 on Microsoft. And I don't think that's too concerning, right? I think the market's kind of doing a trap, like a bear trap, before he speaks, and then it's gonna want to rally, right? Kind of sent people into buying, filling up short positions, so they basically squeeze after Powell speaks. I'm not saying 100% that we're going to see that, right, that we're going to rally, but from what I'm getting, technically speaking, I think we're going to rally. Before I dive in, I want to highlight two plays that we're in Discord. It's Ether USD. The prior long got stopped out, but we longed again. We longed again on this shakeout dip, right? And we're positions in profit, right? Another long that we got into is Luna USD, and that one should be up 10% on spot. I might sneeze again. I feel like my allergies kick in right about now. Every time, last stream I was doing these things with my face where I'm trying to not sneeze. So if I sneeze, bear with me, right? So we long the link at 76.67. That was just Luna. We long Luna at 76.67, and that was just basically 61.8 retracement, and it's holding up, right? It's holding up. It looks like it's trying to stay above the 50. We want to see that happen, right? We definitely want to see that happen. At this point, I would move half that stop to 81. Right, and we got in on this wick low, and it's up 7%. It was up 12% earlier, and I'd wanna move half a stop to 81.3, just in case it does down back. Then we're basically buying back with some profit, so he's guarantee some kind of return out of this long. So that pretty much sums up my current leveraged exposure. It's just ETH USD and Luna. So. And looking at ETH and BTC, we did see some promising price action. I mean, they basically look like Amazon and Apple, and everything in terms of its last swing is holding above a 61.8, right? I think if we were going to do some kind of bear trap in a FOMC today, we'd be seeing the inverse, right? If we can see a bull trap, it would be the inverse. It would be the market doing something like this, where it's setting up for a short, right? Where it's trying to rally up to 61.8. And it's just my opinion. I think from here, price action should be upwards, especially looking at, I'm kind of gauging the market with Amazon. And I posted a trade ID on this. It's probably another buy opportunity right now, being at this weekly low. And what I see on Amazon, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, because I've highlighted this in a couple of streams. Is this 61.8 retrace, right? Typically, we want to see this weekly candle close green and go up. And, last few times we saw these was 2018 crash to COVID crash, right? And we did get a wick below. And the previous time was a 2018 Christmas crash, relating back to that previous low, right? And here, that weekly candle, it opened below the 61.8. It dipped even lower. You're reading this green candle, right? Dipped even lower and then rallied back up. So I'm not giving up hope on this market. I think we should be seeing the next 2 weeks should be green. Just from what I'm seeing on Amazon. Also, like adding something like RSI. And typically this is used for divergences. Not only do we don't quite have a divergence here, but like looking at a spot reading, Amazon has not been this oversold. I don't think it's touched the 30 range since, what was this, 2008 crash, right? Like realistically, compared to itself, it's at 2008 oversold levels, right? So we should see some kind of bounce. Don't quite see divergence here, but I think Apple was really divergent. I'll dive into like cryptos and other standalone charts shortly. I just wanted to highlight these things because I think if stocks get back in a risk-on environment, you know, we're gonna see cryptos rally. And also like BTC's had decent price action today. And looking at Apple, you know, I was highlighting that, hey, we're bouncing 61.8%. We're at that red line, right? Like Microsoft, so many stocks are doing this. I sound like a broken record. So I do think the next move should be up from here. So I think post FOMC, the Feds, or during FOMC, the Fed's basically going to calm the market down a little bit and like be a little bit more reassuring. It shouldn't be very negative, right? Like this Fed meeting. Yeah, that's what I've got in terms of what I'm thinking. I did put out a newsletter covering like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Ether, and Luna the other day, and I hope some of you guys got it. Also looking at like index plays, and I think we should, if you're not in long positions or in out of the money calls, I think right now is pretty good buy opportunity before the FOMC. Just don't go too heavy, right? Like anything can happen. I'm not saying we're definitely going up, but keep in mind that anything can happen. But I think that we're going up, and my exposure is up from here. All right, that covers that. Basically, my broken record intro. Now that I've done that for like 7 minutes, let's dive into some charts. Let's start with like VTC. Once again, you know, that weekly chart is holding up above the 61.8, right? And based on last stream, usually when I have one of these, that means that's the stop loss on this trade on that last wick, right? And my exposure is long because we're above that 61.8, and at this point, I'd like to see that up move happen out of BTC. It's had more momentum today than like the SPY has, but yesterday SPY had more momentum than BTC. Like, yeah, it's done a 3% up move. It's doing little bull flag. I would not be surprised if I see this rip, like upwards, not RIP rip, but upwards rip out of BTC today during Powell or after Powell at some point. And conversely, you know, if we're going to come down, I had you guys ready last stream saying, look, like if this breaks down, then we want to stop over here like 37K, and we want to be able to pick up 28, 26K, right? That's where I think liquidity is if we're actually tapping into liquidity on BTC. Can I move that? Yes, I can. So that covers my analysis for Biddy. If you guys have any BTC questions, shoot them now. If you don't, I'm going to go ahead. I covered Ether already, covered Luna. Let's look at the SPY. SPY looks kind of, you know, it looks daunting, right? But when I look at stocks like Amazon and Apple and Netflix, not Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, it just makes me think that the next move is up, right? We've done a liquidity move here. We've shaken out all these bulls that got in on this wick, and more players are able to get in. We're seeing a beautiful wick below the Fib, right? Wick means price rejection, so bulls really came in and got it up and closed it right at 411, right? Actually, no, the open was at 411, but closed us above, like basically flipped this candle, right? This was a fake out, and then it closed above. So yeah, I'd like to see an up move. I keep saying that. Looking at Qs have gotten hammered the worst, right? And like RK back at 2018 levels. So I picked up some RK longs yesterday. And looking at where QQQ is, back at 315, you know, back in May 21 levels, like all this price action didn't happen. I'm mainly looking at the big names right now because I think they're going to move indices, right? When the big names start moving, it's when we're going to get those index rallies and the little names to follow, like a rising tide type effect, raises all ships. What else? We talked about longing algo in the chat, and I never signaled it, but if you guys picked that up when we were talking about it, we were talking about it down here, like 57 is currently at 65. It did a good move up. I think it's pulling back. If it's at a 50, not quite at a 50% retrace, I think 64 and 61 cents a pretty good buy. So if you get a wick to 64, I'll probably signal it. And I'm going to go ahead and set my alert. It's one thing that's on my watch list. Alert failed. Well, you can fuck off, trading view. Let me look around. Let me look behind real quick, get some more ideas off my charts. And we'll actually, before I look back, you can start showing me some tickers. Look at EWG. It's a Germany index. I know like some big market streamers are short on this. Personally, I see like a mega weekly divergence. I don't usually go off RSI, but like we're in a phase in the market where like what I see here is it's called a failure swing. When it fails to go oversold, fails to break below 30. Also, it did a 61.8, and like I've got some time on these EWG calls, but I like I'm long on the German ETF. Even though there's like energy concerns and FUD, I don't think Merkel's gonna let it tank. You know, it really reminds me of these moves that we've seen over here, where it's actually dipped below the 61.8, but then, you know, after the third test we had that rally. So I think realistically, you get above 26.97. It's probably also waiting on like what Powell says before the money starts rushing back into this ETF. But the fact that it held 24.76, I would have loved to be able to long it here, but you know, picked it up on the second drop. All right, I'm gonna look behind me, get some ideas, some things to cover. You guys show me some tickers, like shoot some tickers my way. I'll go over them to the best of my capabilities. And yeah, let's get this stream going. Let's get this thing on fire. You guys smash that like button for me. Critical pharmacy. I will check Matic for you. Let's do that. I'm gonna look behind real quick and I'll get you. That. PayPal, Amazon, Apple, Netflix. So one really good chart, and then I'm looking at it's NAT, which is Cloudflare. Like I don't think Cloudflare is going anywhere. You know, like this stock is not gonna die. The internet is not dead, you know, and it's like sub 61.8 on complete price action. So they'd pick up a spot position on that. I'm still in it. RSI not quite in the gutter. Let's look at Matic USD. I think a lot of you know, like the shit coins. If we get that market pop, they're gonna want to rally, right? Matic's doing a 786 retracement. Usually I don't like longing a 786, right? I like longing the 61.8. Like, let's go to the daily. Right, like I like longing this, and then here like it was failing, absolute failing, like not really acting like a 786 or 61.8 on a daily, and now it's trying to reclaim that $1.12, right? And I mean on the daily, I'm not gonna say it's flagging. Maybe the 4 hour should be looking like a bull flag. Looking at that, yeah, it's trying to break out. You know, based on my analysis of the market right now, like this looks like a decent long, and you know, I'd probably want to hide that stop at like 107 and take out a long at 101 and let her rip a little bit. I think like a target one on something like this would be $1.31, especially if we get that bump on Powell today, right? If J-Powell pumps the market, I think there's 20% in Matic, right? Usually I don't like 786s, but then again, I've seen 786s hold. I think the most memorable one was Tesla COVID move on Tesla, which was like right here. I think this was a 786. Yeah, right. So very rarely do they stick, but sometimes they're bullish. Like, look at that. Anybody that bought the dip at 73 made a shit ton of money, right? All right, that covers Matic for you. Smash that like button if I covered your chart. You guys, show me some tickers. Don't let this stream end. When y'all slow down, I slow down. Keep me going. Gold's looking interesting. I have not closed my short position on gold yet. I have not closed my short on gold, and I don't know. I think we can still go a little lower. You know, I should probably stick to my guns and maybe take some partial profit on this one. The problem is we could be retracing down to 1830, right? Or we could have bottomed at this swing low. We'll see. I think if it gets above 1894, I'll stop out. But then again, my puts expire in like a year and a half, right? I still have a little over a year on these puts, and I was shorting up here, right, on this candle. I let the blow off happen, and I like should have had it up here, but I just kind of was like, no, I'm just gonna wait it out. So I'm still short on gold. I've not closed or flipped long. I think I'd want to flip long if we get below the range, right? This last gold top, it was kind of similar without the blow off. I think the war made people think that gold's gonna go to like infinity, right? So we had this bull trap with a lot of like heavy distribution up here, right? Above like 1929, where the market was trading there for weeks, almost like a month and a half. And yeah, at this point, I'd like to see a liquidity move. I'd like to see this come down. Because this wick is so high, I think it can retrace a lot, right? Into the range. Like ideally, I was targeting 16, 14, but with that wick being higher, 1576, it just seems too bearish, right? So at this point, I think 1828 should be my target on gold, right? I'm just gonna adjust my take profit on the gold short to 1828. All right, fam. I'm still looking for chart requests. If you don't have any chart requests, I'm gonna wrap this stream up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope I'm right? And if I'm wrong, at least I was bold enough to make a prediction during times of uncertainty. All right, and once again, you know, I'm looking at things like really big names like Amazon, and it's doing what is cyclically should be a bottom. RSI is in the gutter. It's like very much oversold, and it's doing a 61.8 bullish retracement. All right, if it's gonna turn around, like, it should get back above 2460. And usually the return on like being long here, like in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, should be 20 to 30%. All right, this was our Christmas meltdown. Sounds like a broken record again. I went over this last stream, and I think the stream before, right? And from this, like the following 3 weeks, 30% move. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a big move up on Powell. And Powell has historically like been the patron saint of bull market, right? He's always saved it. So I think he's going to save it again. I think this has been a soft landing for some. And we look at other names that like really got obliterated, and like Netflix, right? That's not a soft landing. Are we at a buy level that I want to interact with yet? Man, 179 would have been delicious, right? An entry at 179, but we're not quite there yet. Let's look at PayPal. I'm looking at like the not soft landings. I mean, PayPal's back at COVID lows, right? Like, to think that PayPal is really going to zero, I don't know. How bad was the last earnings? Did they miss? They beat. They beat expectations, right? Even post-COVID, they missed and it shot up, right? So, and I think if we get that overall rally, like PayPal's got some crypto holdings now, so that if cryptos go up, that should affect PayPal. Like I think PayPal's at a decent level, just being at those COVID lows, like 2018. We're really saying that PayPal has not gained any value since 2018. Like, does that make any sense? You know, I think the market is being irrational, right? And nobody said that markets are rational. We know that markets are very irrational, and that $83 price point is actually fib support, right? So looking at something like PayPal, I actually have calls on here. I didn't signal it, but I got in some calls. That's my take profit. Like other level, right? Like sell. I think, target one on this is 107. And we could pop off even higher. Go looking at hood for Jasmine. And like, I don't know. I haven't checked many other people, like streamers. I don't know what others are saying, if others are optimistic or not. Hood looks interesting. But they're missing. That's the problem. They're missing time and time again. And I tell all my traders that, like, look guys, usually the IPO run up is shit. Stay the fuck away. Wait for a meltdown, right? And then we can look at the range and extend it. And this doesn't make me happy with Hood. You gotta figure out why it turned here, right? Like, I can see why we had consolidation below 1929. That would have been a good short because it wasn't closing above. And now, $12 should be the next level for support. At this point, I think Hood should be a decent long, right? Especially if we get a pump out of Powell today. If you get a Powell pump, then at that point we're gonna want to see Hood go up, numbers go up, people coming back into the market, piling in, buying high, buying those up candles, right? Which should cause more speculation in terms of Hood. The only thing I see that's acting as support right now is that $9.72 range. But in terms of a spot trade, like, I wouldn't buy calls on this. On a spot trade, like a stop at 880 and a long here just seems wise, especially if Amazon is really marking the bottom with that 61.8, right? It's like a bold prediction, but I think we go up from here. It's got to break 1046, right? If not, then it's basically doing the same thing over and over and breaking lower. But realistically, if 1046 is taken out by bulls, I would not be surprised to see Hood at 1388 and then maybe settle back down at 12. Assuming we get a pump from Powell, right? Contingent, we get a pump from Powell. All right, what else we got, guys? That's it? 2 chart requests? On a Wednesday, it's hump day, man. Get y'all's hump on. Give me something to look at. What's wrong with you guys? All right, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to wrap this stream up. I covered my insight, what I think's going to happen. Powell goes live in a couple of hours. Best of luck to everybody. Hope you've kind of picked your side into this before this, right? Because, like, I mean, just once again, back to my Amazon setup. Back to that Amazon setup. And, I think looking at the weekly, coming up from these 61.8 retracements, it's a big candle, right? 30% candles. Even like Tesla. Tesla looks great. All right. I think I've rambled enough about the same thing over and over. You guys have a great rest of the week. Hopefully I'm right about the market, about Powell, about all of it, about indices. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Oh, catch you guys on Friday, same time, same place. Until then, if you want to catch me, there's links in the link tree. There's no OnlyFans in there. There's a lot of other links. Hop in, join us in Discord, follow us on Twitter, and